Welcome to the first episode ever of the Black Heretic. My name is Duwan, aka the Black Heretic, and basically this show is about empowerment, science, health, and fitness, and music. But more importantly, it's more focused on the empowerment part. And yeah, we're gonna get right into it. What I'm here to talk about today is basically the uncertainty principle. A lot of you guys probably are not familiar with that. What that is it is an understanding and a belief in a theory. Let's talk about what a theory is. First of all, a theory is not what you think it is. It's actually a set of well-tested ideas. So even electricity is considered a theory, but you wouldn't say it's just a theory, because how else would I be talking to you right now? You wouldn't be using that cell phone either. Wind is just a theory, but you feel it every time you go outside. Gravity is just a theory, but your ass ain't floated off in outer space yet. So the whole it's just a theory thing, you need to squash that, because what a theory is a well-tested set of ideas. So it's better, in my opinion, to at least go out and do research and do experiments to try to understand something, instead of just accepting something blindly. Because we live in a universe of uncertainty. We really don't know anything. We only believe things. So just allowing someone to tell you something and just believing it, in my opinion, is foolish, because it's a form of blind submission, and it's a form of mind control. So I'd rather go with things that have evidence backing them. And so yeah, the uncertainty principle is basically about the duality of particles and waves, and what it has to do with free will. Basically, everything behaves like a particle and a wave. So a particle, you think of a rock, and basically it occupies one area in space and time. So it'll just be at one point in space and time. And a wave is more of a disturbance. So if you were to go to a pond and drop a rock in the pond, you see the ripples. The wave is not in just one area. The wave is spread all out, so you can't really narrow it down. But the thing is, things in space and time behave like waves and particles. I know that's kind of crazy. It's counterintuitive, because we didn't evolve the ability to understand that. We had no reason to. When we were on the planes and we were doing our thing, evolving, all we had to do was eat, drink water, and find shelter. So there was no reason to understand what was going on as far as quantum physics are concerned, and other aspects of the scientific disciplines. In addition to that, come here, son.
Okay.
Since you want to jump in on my session, jumping in on my station. This is my son Cairo. Say hi.
Hi.
Say hi, YouTube.
Hi, YouTube.
I love you. Alright, so again, we didn't have a need to really understand that. There was no purpose. We understood what we needed to in order to survive. That's why it's so hard to understand science, and a lot of people just say, oh well, science is too difficult and you can't prove it, so I'm just gonna go with religion and philosophy. Well, you damn sure can't prove that, and they don't even give you evidence. And there's a whole lot of evidence going against what is written in a lot of those religious texts. So everything behaves like a wave and a particle. Now, the more certain we are about the position of an object as far as quantum physics is concerned, the less we know about the momentum. So we can't know both, we can only know one. And so what they do is they take waves and they stack them on top of each other. And what that does is create what I'm gonna call a valley. And then it creates peaks that the more waves that you put, the peaks come together. So you have waves on top of waves, and you keep putting more waves on top of waves, and the valley gets longer. and the peaks get shorter. So the shorter the peaks are, the easier it is to box that in and get the location of that wave. But the shorter those peaks are, the smaller that box is, the more waves are in there, so we're not able to tell the momentum. So we have to spread out the box, and now the area is bigger and we know more about the momentum, but we know less about the position.
Welcome down, welcome down, welcome down, welcome down.
And that's why it's called the uncertainty, because there's uncertainty. And what that has to do with free will is that basically we do have, in a sense, free will, because we can't use determinism. We can't predict the future based off past events. So I guess basically God, whatever God is, he does play dice, because once you look at an electron, you don't know where it is, it moves, you know. And in addition to that, particles, they tend to, at least according to particle physicists, occupy more than one space and time. They come in and out of existence. And there's something called quantum entanglement, which we'll talk about on a different episode. And so yeah, the more we know about where it is, the less we know about where it's going. The more we know about where it's going, the less we know about where it is. And particles and waves have a duality like light. So yeah, in addition to that, like I said, I would never just sit back and accept what people tell you, because we live in an unknown universe. Just accepting what people tell you because it's in a 2,000-year-old book, and because you see people jumping around and acting like they have some unseen spirit inside of them, that's not a good enough reason. They need to provide evidence, because there's lots of explanations for why people get the so-called Holy Ghost. That's a mix of adrenaline and different endorphins and different brain chemicals going through the brain. It's like a trance. They do it in Africa. The Native Americans do it. And those religions have little to nothing to do with Christianity, but they still have the same effects. So in addition to that, if you believe in Jesus, that's fine. If you believe in Christianity, that's perfect. Not perfect, but that's fine. Just question it. Don't just take it for face value, because they'll control your mind and they get a lot of your money. Remember, the churches are tax exempt. They don't pay taxes, so they're getting money from you. That's why they pass that collection plate around so much, and that's why I consider myself the black heretic, because it has a lot to do with black people. We need to understand African Americans are way too into Christianity. They use that as a tool to not go out and be productive. Oh, well, I'll leave it in the hands of the Lord instead of going out and doing it yourself. You need to go out and do it yourself, like Caucasians do. They go out and they build corporations and banks and they get money. They don't just sit and pray every night for everything that they want. They pray, but they don't rely on Jesus to bring everything to them. We did that for, what, 400 years, and look where it's gotten us. You know? So yeah, I would suggest reading A Brief History of Time by Stephen Hawking, so you can understand the basics of physics and cosmology. I'm reading right now A Universe from Nothing by Lawrence Krauss, because I always remember, well, you say, well, how could something come from nothing? Well, remember, nothing is a something. Even if you have nothing, you have something. And just because you don't understand science doesn't mean that God built the universe, because where did God come from? First of all, who created God? And your idea of God is different from mine, but they have the same characteristics. Like you say, God, he is the Alpha and Omega. Well, so is energy. It's always been here. You can't create it. You can't destroy it. Then you say, well, God can change forms, but so can energy. Energy, light is energy. Heat is energy. You have all different types of energy. You know, look at the electromagnetic spectrum from, you know, X-rays, ultraviolet rays, my mind is going blank, gamma rays, you have sound waves, you have visible light, which is just a small slither of the electromagnetic spectrum. So it's pretty much the same thing. You're just personifying it, you're making it a person. And that's what I'm not gonna do, because I don't believe that energy is a person. I believe that it's an entity that permeates the universe. And I do believe in other universes, and they're doing research on that now. I believe they found some cold spots near the edge of the universe that might explain two universes touching somehow, but I don't know much about that yet, so I'll research that and we can do that on another episode. But what I want to do is get my young brothers and sisters out there to be more scientifically inclined so that they can get involved in science and technology, and then they can start taking care of their families and we can restore our former glory. Understand that we were great architects, we built the pyramids. They tell you that they were slaves, but there's evidence that they were not slaves, that they were getting paid. They try to make it seem like these are not black people, they were some type of dark caucasoid, whatever the fuck that is. But when we look at the artifacts, we look at the paintings, we clearly see our lips, we see our hair, we see our skin color. We do see people who appear to be mixed. It's just like, probably like America is. You see the majority is white, but there are other races. So of course there were other phenotypes there, but the black people were running shit. When you look at the pharaohs, you see black people. You look at King, I believe his name is King Narmer. I'm not sure how to pronounce his Egyptian name, but I believe historians refer to him as King Narmer. And you look at him, he looked like the brother off of Coming to America, who sung "She's Your," Queen to be. Look just like that nigga. So they are full of fucking shit. Reference Imhotep, who was one of the first physicians, and he was multi-talented. And always remember that we laid down the foundations for civilization, science, mathematics, even though they try to tell you that that's a lie. I even saw some information about calculus being used in ancient Egypt as opposed to it being invented by a single European. Isaac Newton was definitely a genius, but even there's evidence that even his information wasn't original to him. There's some information circling around suggesting that he got his information from a Moor. Supposedly they found a book. This is really obscure information, and all the white supremacists are gonna leave bad comments and say, oh, you're stealing history and all that, but all they gotta do is do some deep searching and purge themselves from their hideous biasness and accept that everybody are human beings and everybody is capable of great things, and then their minds be able to accept it. But the biased Eurocentric mind will never be able to accept that without a mental metamorphosis. And the Afrocentric mind needs to open up as well too. Don't be too Afrocentric thinking that black people did everything, because Europeans did some awesome things, so did Asians and other races throughout history as well. So yeah, that pretty much wraps it up for today. And what I want you to do is send me an email to bandconformity420@gmail.com if you have any questions or if you have any comments. And keep in mind, this whole thing is being sponsored by Hidden Hippies. That's HIDDEN HIPPIES. Again, that's Hidden Hippies. So check that website out. They have a lot of great things, t-shirts and different jewelry. This is some of the jewelry that they make that I'm wearing. Got the elephant for strength. I know you guys know about Hannibal from Carthage, I believe it is. Honestly, on that, it's not fully clear if he's black or not, but we have seen some evidence of him being black. Even if he's not, I still feel like the elephant represents strength, so I'm gonna rock that. And yeah, if you have any questions, just hit your boy up and get your science on, get your empowerment on. And that pretty much wraps it up for today. My name is Duwan, the Heretic. And all the trolls, you can say whatever you want. You can send as many comments as you want. I've dealt with super duper racist people on YouTube, so just do what you gotta do. I can handle it. So I'm out. Much love. Peace.